I'm having a battle in the kitchen keeping ants out of the honey pot. So today I'm trying to make a cute honey jar that keeps those ants at bay. I have an idea, so let's see how we go. I need 800 grams for the jar and another 150 for the lid. I'm using a slightly speckled light mid-fire clay. Now, if you don't have access to a speckled clay, you could try adding some magnetite iron to your clay for the speckled effect. Okay, so I've centered my clay and I've left a little ridge of clay around the base. I push down and open out. And then I bring up the walls. I'm trying to leave that extra clay in the base intact. I leave the walls a little thicker around the rim. That's because I want to create a gallery. And once I've gotten to the height I need, I can start to form that gallery. So I push the clay down on the inside of the rim. So I'm pushing down and forming a ledge almost a centimetre from the rim. The lid is going to sit within this gallery. And now I'm ready to shape my honey pot. For this one, I'm going to give it a bit of a rounded shape. That means I'm bellying out, that is, pushing out from the inside. I'll do that again. Notice I'm using my flexible rib on the outside. That helps control the shape. You can also use your fingers or a sponge for this. So clearly I have something in mind for that extra clay at the base. So I'm going to bring that up into a short wall. I've seen potters call this a double-walled form, which I guess technically it is. But that wall is very small. It's just enough to hold some water. And this is my idea: create a jar with a moat. And when that moat's filled with water, I'm hoping it will keep the ants out of my honey. I'm hoping this can replace that saucer of water I've resorted to keep ants away. I trim around the base, and then I use a chamois to refine the rims, both rims. And I wire through. Great, now it's time for the lid. So I'm going to make a domed lid, and I'm making it right side up. Now you could just make the domed lid as a solid piece and then trim out all that excess clay, but I think I'll do it as a closed form. So I push down into the clay and start to bring the clay up. I bring the walls up and bring them inwards. I use a pin tool to cut off some of the excess clay at the top. And then I gently bring the walls together. I create a good seal there. And so for the handle, I'm just going to push that clay down and form the handle. And I just hollow out the handle to shape. I trim away any excess clay around the base. Now I'm using a lid master to measure. So I've used the other end to get the measurement of the gallery, and because it's a closed form, I add a pinhole. This is to prevent cracking as the lid dries. Now I like the domed lid look, but It might not be to everyone's taste, so I've decided to make a flat lid. And the flat version is a little simpler. I just center a little less clay, and then I'm just going to form the shape of the lid and the handle. To shape the handle, I'm just going to push down into the clay to create a bit of a hollowed handle. This will work well with the form of the honey jar, and I think it just lightens the lid a little. And then I measure, and I'll wire through and set aside to dry. Once my pieces are leather hard, I can trim. I think we need some help with the trimming of the lid, and I have the perfect idea. The jar is the perfect chuck. So I center the jar and then pop the lid on top upside down. And if you need lugs of clay, add them. Oh, and to fit a spoon, I'm going to cut a small crescent using a small hole cutter. And now for the base. Once again, I'm going to keep it simple. You can get by without trimming here, but I would have trimmed a little more away when the piece was wet. So I'm going to trim across the base and create that indent that will allow my piece to sit well on a table. And then I pay some attention to the shape around the foot. So I made some other shapes. I made a larger honey jar without the moat. I also decided to make a little standalone moat. And for a variety, I made a straight-sided jar. I set them aside to dry for firing. And then I bisque fire. I glaze the inside of the jar. I'm going to add some brush strokes to my pot. To help me with this, I've created a template that allows me to divide my pot up evenly. And I'm just using a regular grey lead pencil to mark out the spots where I want the brush strokes to go. If you follow the link below in the comments, I'll email you my circle guide decorating template. You can print it out at home and it's really useful. I'm using a liquid underglaze to add my brush strokes. The underglaze I'm using is quite thin. I'm thinking it'll be more a soft wash than bold strokes. I glaze by dipping in my satin glaze. Now it has a little bit of an opacifier. That means it won't be quite as transparent as, say, my regular clear glaze. And I glaze fire. I add honey and then I fill the well with water. Now I have a line of defense against ants in the honey without using chemicals. If you'd like my notes with measurements for this project, follow the link below and I'll email them to you. Why not show your support for our channel by purchasing our 2026 Potter's Calendar? For a simpler designed canister, check out my canisters with perfectly fitting lids video. And as always, happy potting!